Hello and welcome to part 2 of Project Edna. Now I know these videos are a bit back to front and I should have done an explanation clip in my first video, but I wasn't expecting to get such a positive reaction from the video I posted. I really made it to send to friends and document my own progress. However, I'm astounded by the reception the video got, and I feel I should do a bit more explaining so you all know what the main goal is. If you haven't watched the first video, click in the link above, hopefully there, so you can see the story from the start, or where I started anyway. So a bit of background. Edna is my 1987 Land Rover 110 high cap. All my Land Rovers that I've named for the first letter in their registration, so E is on this one, and that I chose Edna. She's an old lady, deserves a bit of respect, so that's what I've done with this one. I bought her from my father-in-law earlier this year. He had her for nearly 20 years and he used it as his farm pickup, so she has been roundly abused in its day-to-day life. She is showing her age, she is showing her battle scars and dents, but I want to keep those scars. I don't want to erase the past and turn her into a snazzy £100,000 city Land Rover, which I have nothing against, but that isn't what I'm trying to achieve here. I want to have a usable and safe vehicle with a few upgrades, but try to keep it as original as practicable. I won't be putting a new chassis on her for two reasons. Firstly, I can't afford it. And secondly, if you keep putting new parts on, when does it become Trigger's broom? At what point is it not the original vehicle? So I'll fix the odd hole in the chassis. I mean, there are a couple of holes in the main chassis, and replace the rotten rear cross member with one I have started to make myself, but more of that later on in the video. I've made two before and fitted them, and they are pretty bloody bomb-proof. I got the seats from a local lad who has upgraded his. These are XS seats, so they are heated, but because I want to keep the dash as it is without any extra switches or a mud dashboard or anything, which I've had a couple of in the past and they're great, but they just wouldn't suit this project. They wouldn't suit the idea that I'm trying to keep it as original as possible. So I've put a centre cubby box in, and underneath the box is going to be the diesel heater. Inside the box, when you lift up the lid, you're going to have all your switches for extra lights on the back end in the load bed, or the heated seats and the diesel heating controls, such like. I'm going to cut the front out, put a decent Bluetooth speaker in there, because these never came with radios and CD players and infotainment systems. So have a Bluetooth speaker in there, connect it to the phone, I can hear the sat nav, or I can listen to music or an audio book or something like that. So try and keep it all contained, all the gadgetry in that box, keep the dashboard standard. A few other things I've done to it. I've put a big gas strut under the bonnet because it's got the spare wheel on it. Now I can open the bonnet, lift it with one hand comfortably, and as soon as it gets about a foot open, I can use one finger and it just glides up on its own. Much easier, much safer, and much more practical again. Things that do need to be done, like I said, rear cross member, that is so rotten, that needs to go, but I've started one, we'll see that later on. This door rattles and shakes and the window goes down, but it's a mission to get back up because all the runners have gone, all the slides and the guides and the seals, they've all gone, so they all need replacing. There will be a lot of work done to it, but hopefully mainly cosmetic and repair work. I don't want to be replacing lots of bits. I want to try and keep it a good truck with a good amount of history. But thank you again for all the reactions and comments on all the platforms that the video has been posted on, and I hope you enjoy following the story as much as I enjoy progressing with it and working on it. So yeah, let's get to it. Thank you very much. Have fun. So you can see here, I've cut the rear cross member off, and I made this frame up so that I knew, because there's no body on it, I knew when I was going to make the new one that I've drilled the bolt holes in this. When I've made this and the tabs are welded into place, I can come along, I can bolt it on here, and then I know where I can start making the new chassis arms and everything. The reason I had to cut it off was because of the state of this. It is completely rotten through. I mean, yeah, that is a bolt actually. Let's see if I can break it. That's how thin the bolts have gone where they've rusted. That was an 8mm bolt, and that's got to be, what, 2mm max. And you can see it's bad design. You see you've got two sections of channel welded together. The muck and the grit gets thrown up by the wheels, goes in here, goes in there, rots out. You can't clean it out properly. You end up with a mess. Whereas this thing, big lump of box, 6mm thick, right size, and the bolts, the holes for the tow hitch and everything, they'll be drilled out, they'll be sleeved, weld the sleeves in, cut them off to the right length obviously, weld them in, get it all on there, cap the ends off so no moisture can get in there. Once it's painted, it's sealed, it's good to go. These are the sleeves, and I've cut these 8mm narrower than the actual width of the box section, so they're going to sit in 4mm on either side, which means when they're in there I've got a nice 4mm divot to weld into, so that when you grind the weld smooth you're not losing all of the strength that you've just put in there. Too many people weld on top, they put the two pieces of metal the same height, weld on top, then grind it, make it look neat, but you've just taken away all your meat that you've just added there. So sleeve in there, sleeve in here, and then the smaller sleeves for the top bolts. Again, slightly shorter than they should be, nicely recessed in there. Get the welds in, make it nice and strong. Once the ends are capped off, these are capped off, you can put your bolts through, and the only place moisture can get is in those bolt holes, which is minimal. And if you're really that keen, take the bolts out, wire brush, like a wire pipe cleaner type brush, clean them out every now and then, put some paint in there, or some copper slip or something like that to preserve the metal. So yeah, let's get this welded. So I'm sure some of you are wondering why I wrapped a towel around the box section. It was purely to try and stop the vibration quite as much from making such a noise for the neighbours. I don't want to upset everyone in the neighbourhood, especially if this is going to be a long-term project. I'm probably opening myself up for a bit of a ear bashing here, but here are the welds, straight in, nice and deep, nice and thick. Get that welder hot, get the steel hot, whack that welder up, seal it all in properly, and just tidy up any of the little spotty bits just with a grinder before you paint it up. So yeah, first end's done. Next end.